Hello and welcome to my development diary for Mongoose Traveller on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. It's been a while since my previous diary, mostly because I've been working on getting content done for both the core rules and the central supply catalogue. This content is pretty much done now and it's ready for reviewing and testing, but there's a lot of work that was put into getting the items all defined. There's over 1,000 items defined in the central supply catalog. And some of these items required some code changes to fully support them. The features aren't necessarily all fully implemented yet, but I've wanted to make sure that the metadata is all there and defined on the item. So all that's left is tidying up the UI and putting some restrictions on behavior and stuff like that. But we have items and graphics installed and ready. So a lot of that's been done and it's all ready for review. So what I want to go over though in this video is some of the features that I've added to support some of these items. Okay, so let's take a look at software. I'm going to use Bobby as an example. Taking a look at her list of equipment, she has a smartwatch and she has a portable computer. So opening up the smartwatch, we can see it has an embedded computer. That's a feature that's been there for a while, but other than setting the computer bandwidth, there wasn't anything you could do with that. Now we can see we've got a installed software block, and we've actually got some software listed here in this case. So an agent package which runs electronics computers. And what we can do, we can click on that and it will tell us, yep, the agent software is running the electronics computer skill at a level of 2. We can run that and we can make a skill check just like we would normally. Difference is we're making the skill check from the item. It's the item that's making the skill check. As we see here, it says it's the Agent 2 package. If we were to give Bobby a higher electronics computer skill, then when we run that, it says, oh, now it's switched to Bobby making the skill check and she's getting a +1. So if it's beneficial for Bobby to just click the button and say, run this software, it will do that. On the other hand, if she's actually got a decent enough skill and the +1 makes more sense, then it will use Bobby's skill and give her a +1. There's lots of complicated rules in Mongoose Traveller about how software works. I think I've implemented them correctly. There's probably still a few more features that can be tweaked, but for the most part, there's a number of options there which I think are correct. So I'm sure people will provide feedback if there's bugs or anything in that. So we have a computer and we have software attached to it. So how do we do that? So let's take a look at our portable computer. There's nothing installed on that. We can remove the embedded computer, add it back in. We don't do anything with the bandwidth at the moment. We don't check to make sure things are running within the bandwidth or whether a computer's overloaded or anything. That's something for later. As I said, I'm mostly interested in getting the data in there so I can define items and other people can define items, and I leave it to GMs and players to make sure that they're not sticking too much software onto an item. So we could, let's take a look at our software package. Now, previously, I mean, the software item type has existed for a while. Mostly it was just created so I could add software items to spacecraft. You couldn't actually do anything with it, but now we've got a few more fields on there. So we've got a software class which defines as to whether it's personal software or designed to run on spacecraft computers. That will eventually define what sort of bonuses and things it applies. We have a interface type, which defines whether it's an interface or not. In this case, it's not. And we have something which says what it's installed on. So anything with, so we've now installed that on the portable and it's popped up over here. We could move it to the smartwatch or uninstall it. Software can only be installed on one machine at a time. And also down here, we've got the software features, which define what type of bonuses it provides. In this case, it's an expert software and it's giving bonus to admin. So over on our portable computer, we can click on the dice icon and we'll get a warning saying it needs an agent interface at least. So let's give it an intellect interface, install that on the portable computer. You see this interface has generic type, which means no special rules. It doesn't give any skill bonuses. Things like translation software and other stuff, which doesn't, it just does something. It doesn't actually require any skill rolls, would be generic software type. So now we can go to here, we can click and we can see it's using Bobby's skill, and when we roll it, it says, yep, it's applied the expert 2 skill to that. So we have a number of different skill types. So agent, you've seen, agent only gives bonuses to electronics computers. It's a strange type of expert software. The DM, so the task skills, these are skills which the computer itself runs. It never uses the character's own skills. So things like there are some software packages which just do a task and just make a skill check. That would be the case of these. And task plus 3. Yeah, okay, so this one always uses the character skill but gives a bonus to it. So let's add that into there. So you can see deception. Yeah, so that's a task skill. It's not using the character's deception skill at all. DM plus 2 on advocate. We do that. So let's take a look at DM. Right, that was a task skill. That should be a skill augment. My apologies. Right, so if we make that skill augment, then it will always use the character skill, and even, I mean, there should probably be a restriction that you need to be trained in the skill at least, but for now you can just roll it and it will give you, in this case, a +2 to your advocate skill, even though she's got it at -3. So she'll be rolling it with them -1, but that was a pretty good roll. So yeah, so you've got a number of different skill options. They can be added, as I said, they can be added to your items. If you move an item to another character, the software packages won't move with them. It will just disconnect them all. You can only add software packages to items which you have in your inventory at the moment. So you can't have a prepared portable computer which has software pre-installed on it and then give it to a character, you'd have to give the portable computer and all the items separately. Software adds to the item. You roll it from the item. It doesn't affect skill rolls you make from your character sheet. If you want things to give bonuses to skills rolled from the character sheet, then augments are still possibly the better way of doing that. Whether I'm going to change that behavior in the future, I don't know. But for now, there's some basic rules in there to allow software to be used on items and within characters. The next thing for us to look at are components. So we'll use Alfred as our example this time. He's wearing some cloth armor. We open up that armor. It's pretty typical armor. Something that was added recently. You can set legality for both armor and weapons. I can't remember whether I mentioned that last time or not. And also something that's been there from pretty much the start is armor also shows number of battle dress slots, which we'll come to in a bit. So for armor and for a number of different item types, you have an allow components link. If you click that, much like for software, it will show you a list of linked components. So if we go find something, so let's find additional padding. This is already set up as a component, and we can remove that by clicking there, and we can turn it into a component by clicking on that. We can set the type of component it's for, so this is what it links to. Currently either anything armor or weapons. If it's designed for armor, it will show a number of slots, which is the number of battle dress slots. That's currently one of the things that's recorded but not enforced. So the idea is for battle dress options, you'll put in a number of slots, and in which case it will only be able to get added to battle dress which had enough spare slots. And much like for software, you can attach it to items in your inventory. So we'll attach it to our cloth armor, and hey presto, we've now got an additional padding item attached here, and you can click on that to open it up. Now, it doesn't do much at the moment beyond adding between other than linking items together. And as for software, if you drag the cloth armor to someone else, it won't drag across all the items which are linked to it. So it's there set up as metadata to be sort of fully implemented at a later date, but you can now at least see what's connected to what. So if we open up active camouflage, as you can see, that's something which has got a number of slots there, and it's also something which gives a skill stealth bonus if it's active. Now, this here is actually an active effect, and you'll see for all general items now, not only can you attach components to them, and yes, you can attach components to things which are components. Whether I want to block that, I don't know. I probably do, but so that's a restriction I might add in at a later date. You've also got a little effects thing. You can click that and it will open up the augment effects list. And you can add in augment effects to general items. You don't need a special augment type to do that anymore. Previously, I think armor and augments, but the only things that allowed it are now opening it up to a number of different item types. And rather than always showing the this whole box all the time, you can hide it away, and if there's any current active effects on the item, it will just show those. So one thing I still need to do is, if you've added an item with active effects to something that's active, i.e. it's listed as items in use, then it should apply those active effects. That's not going to happen in this coming 0.13 release, but it's something that I'll need to do at some point in the future. So yeah, so currently now you have support for components, and I've added that in for armor add-ons and also weapon add-ons. I don't have support for ammo add-ons at the moment. And for weapons, it connects things. It doesn't necessarily change their stats. So if you've got a scope and you add it to a weapon, it won't give the weapon a scope trait. I need to figure out how I want to do that. Probably a list of traits on here, which you can add in. For ammo, it gets more complicated because you get multipliers to damage types or modifiers to damage. I need to figure out the best way of handling all of that. But yeah, that's something I want to do at some point in the future. But for now, you've got the basic supports there for components, better support for effects, and also support for software. Okay, so that's an overview of some of the main features in version 0.13. That should be released by the time this video goes out. There's not the only changes. There's a number of smaller changes that are part of this release, most of them to do with supporting different item types and things. We now also collect the compendiums into a folder, which might make things a little bit tidier. But yeah, after this, I'll continue working on improving support for software and components, fixing some bugs, and also want to start looking at support for Foundry 13. I fixed a few bugs around that, but I think it mostly just needs testing to make sure there's nothing, that there's no big issues there. Okay, thank you for making it this far, and if you've got any issues or bugs or requests, then feel free to add it to the GitHub issues or in the comments to this video. Okay, thank you very much.